Hey guys, this is Frankie. 大家好，我的名是 Frankie, and today we are going to be doing this pattern called the little Matryoshka. I got this pattern from the 1,000 Blocks book, which is, you can actually get that off of Amazon. And I am going to use, again, the little Matryoshka pattern, and this was created by Sonja Callahan. This is the name of her company and the website you can check her out at. And some other goodies on how to assemble this. If you have this book and you want to follow along, or if you have this pattern and want to follow along, feel free. This is actually my first time putting together a foundation piece, so I think this is going to be fun for all of us. So first things first, I have this computer paper. I printed this out. You do not have to use computer paper. You can use a transfer paper or some type of thin paper, but I'm just using computer paper because that is what I have lying around the house. And so I'm going to pick up one of these things, and it says patterns are reverse of the finished block. So what this is telling me is that if you have this fabric, say you're going to use this fabric, you're going to put the good side of the fabric down on the floor, down on the table away from you, and you're going to have your pattern on top. So you're going to be sewing along these lines as this is facing you. So that is what that's telling me. So also on these patterns, it also tells you different sections. So this one's section 1. It says here section 1. This is section 2, 3, 4, section 5, and section 6. So this is letting me know what order these need to go in. Also here, it is telling me, here I'm seeing that this lets me know that there's going to be some embroidery involved. Here it lets me know there's seam allowance. There's a 1/4 inch of seam allowance. This is also, it says 1, 2, 3, so this lets me know that this piece is going to go on first and it's going to be attached to number 2, and number 2, once these are finished, is going to be attached to number 3, and so on and so forth. And then this lets me know this is print, this is red, this is white, so that lets me know what fabrics I need to use. I do not have a white fabric, so what I plan on doing and using is I do have black, I do have red. Now this is white and this is white. I'm going to use this beige that I have for her face. And then I went digging around in my stash, and I'm going to use this for the white background. And then for the print, I'm going to be using this here for the print because I think that's going to look very cute. Alright guys, let's get started. 开始吧. So now we're going to be doing section 4. We're going to be attaching the pattern onto the fabric. Now when I first saw someone piecing, I saw them using stick glue. And I asked them, I said, why are you using stick glue over pens? And what they told me is that when you pen, it affects the way that the fabric lays flat. So they would rather use stick glue. And I thought that was quite a neat trick. So I'm not using pens or stick glue. I'm going to be using double-sided stick tape. There's no particular reason for it. It's just that when I was looking through my drawer for art supplies, this is what my hand came across. And this is not going to stop your fabric from flopping. It's just going to stop your fabric from shifting. So we're just going to put that on. So now that that is done, you're going to want to use a light source, whether it's a window, a lamp, or a light box. You're going to want to use some type of light source. And the reason for that is because we're going to want to see the print coming through the pattern, right? So you're going to take this one. It says red number 2, whatever color you decide to use. Make sure that the fabrics are good side to good side. So as you can see that red coming through in the back. You're going to want to take your fabric and make it like a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you see this faint line going right here. This is your seam allowance when you sew. So we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew down on this line. Alright, see you at the sewing machine. Alright, additional thing that you can do, which I did not do, is that you can add, right here is your seam allowance. You can add additional spacing to make sure that when you're doing these paper piecings that you have enough fabric that actually passes. Well, you need to do this anyway, but this may help you to make sure that it passes so that you're not trying to do a Hail Mary when you're trying to sew up your pieces together. So, got our piece. I'm going to just double check. Yep. All right. So we're going to put this on in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch maybe one stitch before the line and probably one stitch after the line. Now some people say don't stitch directly on. Some people say you can stitch off. I think it's just maybe your preference and how you like to work. I'm not going to be doing a back stitch, so that's why I want my stitch to kind of surpass the line just a little bit. Well, that was 2 stitches, but yeah. Get my scissors. Alright, so now I stitched on this line. This is together, so now we're going to just fold it back and we're going to press it. So now I'm going to go press. I'm not going to bring it with me, but pretend like you saw me press. Now, before you press your item, what you can do is clean up this edge here. You're going to want to fold along this line. And you're going to take your ruler. You're going to measure 1/4 inch for your seam allowance. You're going to take your rotary and we're going to cut. And this kind of helps keep your seams, fairly clean. So now that I've finished pressing this down, we are going to attach the 3rd. So I'm going to use this, and I kind of want to kind of go that way so that when it bends over, it's going to be going in this direction. So then see your line here. Again, we're going to need to have that light source, which I don't have right here, so I have to go and put in the light source. But you go put your thing in the light source and then sew down this line. We've now moved on to section 3, the same kind of concept as the previous section. I'm going to go ahead and stitch all of this, and then when we get to this part, we're going to have a special segment just for this part. Alright, let's go! Okay, so now we are on this part, this big piece here. I'm going to flip this forward and facing me, have my fabric the way I want it. Now, you can't really just decide to cut it this way, because if you sew it this way and then you flip it over, unless your fabric is like you have a really big piece of fabric, you could possibly miss a corner. So we don't want that. So I was fooling around with this, trying to figure out what was the best way to approach this, and so I was thinking, how about we sew this, we do this on a diagonal. So this is here, and this is going to be like up here. So we try to finagle that, right? And so then I'm going to take it, drag her down, and what I'm going to do is after I do that, I'm going to flip it back over. I'm going to take some pins. I'm not going to pin into the paper. I'm going to pin on the fabric. around where you would stitch roughly. And then I pull it back to see how it goes, kind of taunt. And it looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to continue on with that. If the print is not going in the direction that you like, you can also finagle it some more and make it work. Alright, I'm going to go sew. Now I have all of these sewn up. So I'm going to now cut them out. So, follow the seam allowance. Get your rotary out. Yeah, don't worry if you don't get it fully. Just cut it over, cut it again. Alright. Oop. She slid. Alright, I'm gonna cut out the rest. So now that everything has been trimmed up, now I'm going to sew these together. So I'm going to be sewing section 1 and 2 together, section 3 and 4 together, section 5 and 6 together. Okie dokie, so now these have been sewn, so I'm basically going to put this with this and this and this. So I'm going to go sew that up. Alright, so this is now connected. In the pattern there is a 2.5 band at the bottom, so I'm just going to cut that now. This is 2.5 by, oop, not going to camera all around, 2.5 by 12.5. Let's see. I should go iron this. I'm going to use this. I think it's pretty and it'll go well. 2.5, 2.5. And then I'm going to do 12. I'm wondering if I should do a little extra, just in case. I think I'll just trim it off. Maybe I'll just do 13. Let's see. I can always trim it off. Alright, now I'm going to attach this bottom on. I'm going to attach this bottom onto this. I did end up trimming off that 1/2 inch, so you can just keep it at 12.5. I'm just going to start ripping some of this stuff off. I'm going to keep what's around here because I kind of want to use this as a guideline when I embroider, but I just kind of want to start getting into this. So let's see. So now we're going to get into the embroidery part. The lips don't look like they're supposed to be embroidery, but I'm going to use red embroidery for the lips and black for everything else. The red I'm doing like four threads. So I'm just going to knot it. Trim this a little bit so it's not as long, the tail. So let's get into those. I'm gonna actually come from this side because I don't want the knot to be on the other side. Boop. We're trying to do it backwards. Alright, so now we have the lippies. I've done the embroidered lips, and now I'm gonna kind of weave this on in here. I know this will probably Alright, cut this off. Alright, so now I'm going to change thread. I'm going to use the black embroidery thread. This one is 2 strings. For the smaller one, I used, for the red, I didn't use 4. I used 2 for that one because it was a smaller face. This one I'm just doing 2 for everybody all around. So we're going to do the mouth. So this is the finished pattern. I think we did a good job for our first go at it. Sandra made a beautiful pattern. I would love to make this again. The little faces are cute too. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.